Hi, it's Chris Town here, and I'm going to do one of those vinyl haul videos which seem to be quite popular at the moment. I went into a couple of charity shops yesterday and came away with some things which are of interest to me. They may not be of interest to you, but I thought I'd just go through and say why I bought them and what they are. And we're going to start off with a single which I bought for 50 pence, I think it was. 49 pence I paid for. Live, Laugh and Love is the B-side, and the A-side of this single by Elkie Brooks is Lilac Wine. Now, I thought Lilac Wine was from 1974, 1975-ish, from one of her early albums, but it wasn't. It was actually included on the Pearls collection. I've got the Pearls 2 album on vinyl. I haven't got the original Pearls. I didn't buy it at the time. So I've now picked up that single for 49 pence. The next one is interesting. It's the theme song to an American TV series called The Wagon Train. And the singer is Johnny O'Neill. Now, there could be a bit of Wikipedia getting things slightly wrong here, because according to Wikipedia, Johnny O'Neill is British, and says on there that it was recorded with Shorty Rogers Orchestra and Chorus, and it was a theme from ATV series, Wagon Train. So yes, definitely. It is British. I didn't think it could possibly be British, or the music was British, but the series was made by ATV, which was ITV in the Midlands, and it was called Wagon Train. So I'll have to do some investigating into that, because I thought that was an American TV series. But anyway, that single's from 1959, and from what I've read, it was only used for one season. On second season, they only used the music without O'Neill's vocals, and on the third season, there was a completely new theme. So I'll have to look up more about the Wagon Train. It said that Johnny O'Neill, and this is where I wonder about Wikipedia, was one of the Mike Sammes singers. Now, the Mike Sammes singers were the backing singers on quite a few of the Beatles songs where the Beatles used backing singers. So Johnny O'Neill was one of the Mike Sammes singers. But this was obviously recorded in Los Angeles, because you've got Shorty Rogers Orchestra and Chorus. And this 45 set me back at 99 pence. Right, that's the singles. So now let's move on to the albums. And the first album is Tony Hancock, which I paid 99 pence for The Blood Donor and The Radio Ham. And looking on the back, it's got quite a good cast. It's got June Whitfield, Patrick Cargill, Hugh Lloyd, John Bluthal, Clive Dunn, Derek Guyler, Annie Leake and Frank Thornton. And it was written by Alan Simpson, Ray Galton, who are also the creators of Steptoe and Son. And there was another Hancock LP there, which I didn't get. This is on the Pie label. The other album had, amongst the cast, Kenneth Williams and the husband and wife team at the time of John Le Mesurier and Hattie Jakes. So I've got the classic Blood Donor now, and side 2 is the Radio Ham. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the Blood Donor in its 20 minutes or 25 minutes or whatever duration. So that's that one. Russ Conway was another huge star of the late 50s, a piano player, and I got this copy of his MFP. This is obviously a reissue, an album called Time to Play, and I paid 99 pence for this. And he's accompanied by the Jeff Love Orchestra, and it's got Side Saddle, Roulette, Mac the Knife, Trampoline, A Wedding of the Painted Doll, Golden Guilders and Matador from Trinidad. So be interesting to listen to that and see if they are the original versions, or whether Russ actually re-recorded them with Jeff Love's orchestra. Okay. I do like a bit of opera. I was going to say gospel a minute. There is gospel coming up in the second item. But I do like a bit of opera and opera and classical music. And when I can pick up something really cheap, I do. And I've got this record of Verdi's Don Carlo. Cost me 99 pence. And it's on his Master's Voice label. And yeah, it looks quite good. And the vinyl's in reasonable nick. The sleeve looks a bit slightly worn, but I'm looking forward to hearing that. And then, of course, a bit of Chopin. Bit of Chopin for 99 pence. I'm not going to say no to that. And I've got Chopin waltzes played by Samson Francois. And this is also on EMI Music for Pleasure. And There's some Chopin 14 waltzes on here, and it gives you the waltz number and the key and the OP. I'm not a classical music buff, so classical music buffs will have to tell me what the OP means. So that's that one for 99 pence. Also, I recently heard Barbara Dixon do a song that I really like by Colin Blunston called I Don't Believe in Miracles, which is on one of her albums. I wasn't able to get this, but for 99 pence I've got All for a Song, and it's a good collection of the early stuff. Run Like the Wind, The Long and Winding Road, Tonight, Help from My Friends. It's got January, February on there, and Another Suitcase in Another Hall. So, and Caravan. So, I don't know what the nick of that is like. It may be slightly damaged, but hopefully it won't jump, but it may need a good clean up. Right, it's VE celebrations at the moment. So when I saw the Andrews Sisters for 99 pence on MCA Records, I just thought, I've got to pick this up. And it's got all the Andrews Sisters hits like Beat Me Daddy 8 to the Bar, The Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, by Mir Bistushen, and Rum Boogie. So I'm really looking forward to hearing that one. 99 pence for the Andrews Sisters. Okay, I like collecting country music, and I will collect country. I will collect Cajun. I will collect Zydeco, whatever I can find. Rockin' Jimmy and the Brothers of the Night. Looking at the front, you might think, oh, that could well be Zydeco. I paid $1.99 for this. It's a self-produced thing by the looks of it, although it's on Sonic Records from 1982. It's obviously some sort of country type thing, although it's got Rockin' All Night, Sugar Babe, Beating My Heart. So it could be sort of Tex-Mex style rock and roll, depending on what those keyboards are. So I'm looking forward to having a listen to that to see exactly what it is. The Pye Golden Guinea label, this has got the original paper bag in it. It was £1.99, so I had to pick up Lonnie Donegan Presents Mickey and Griff, and on the Golden Guinea label, which I'd not come across before. In Oxfam, the vinyl are always in very good condition. It looks like it might have come from someone's collection, or even stopped from a shop that wasn't sold, because sometimes these LPs have got something written on the back, like Berman's and a date or whatever. This one hasn't, but it's got a number 1 sticker on the bottom there, so I'm not quite sure what that is. For 50 pence, I picked up Roger Sayer playing the organ at Blackburn Cathedral, and he's playing music by composers called Langley, Vienne, Drullerflay and Joseph Jongen. I don't know any of those composers, but I'm certainly looking forward to hearing this, because I do like organ music, particularly church organs, and it's actually signed by Roger Sayer himself, okay? And then I do collect labels. Sometimes I didn't even check the value of this one on Discogs, but Chapter 1 Records is a collectible label, and I only paid £1.49 for this album by Brian Chalker, which is in very good nick. It's got a picture of a ship on the back there, and the songs, I should imagine it's folk, although there is a version of Family Bible, and I'll come back to Family Bible later on when I show you the last item that I bought in another charity shop. Remember the Alamo, the Soldier's Love Song, a Chris Christopherson song on there. So I should imagine this is early 70s folk. Didn't sell many copies, but it probably hasn't got a great value on Discogs, but it's a Chapter 1 release, so that's why I got that one. I got another Mickey and Griff, the Rocking Chair People, and this was because of the label. I found it upstairs in Oxfam on the undershelves, and this is on Major Minor Records, which amongst this sort of thing, Mickey and Griff produced a few sort of items of what you might call psychedelia. There's a band I can't remember the name of at the moment. They released their album on Major Minor. So to me, this is collectible because it's on the Major Minor label. And then I'm always interested in the Decca Phase 4 stereos and the Studio 2 from EMI Columbia. And this is The Last Time I Saw Paris, and it's the Magic Accordions of Adriano. And it's all pieces of music. There's Adriano. It's all pieces of music with a Paris theme. Last Time I Saw Paris, Shadows of the Seine, The Poor People of Paris, C'est Bon, which is a song that Louis Armstrong recorded, and Mademoiselle de Paris. There was quite a lot of Kenneth McKellar, the Scottish singer, and I initially wasn't tempted to pick anything up, but then I found this, Echo di Napoli, the Songs of Naples by Kenneth McKellar with the Michael Sammes singers, the singers I was mentioning earlier. And this is all sung in Italian, and he sings Santa Lucia, Funiculi, Funicular, and Torna a Sorrento, and Cateri, Cateri, amongst others. And because our choir now sing a Italian medley, including Santa Lucia and Funiculi, Funicular, I thought, right, for £1.49, and the sleeve looks nice, and it's in a plastic cover, I'm going to buy that. There's been quite a few Spanishy items in Oxfam recently, and I bought a couple of them, and there was a lot in there priced about £2, and when I went back the whole lot had gone. So if I find something that's sung in Spanish, I pick it up. And for £1.99 I picked up this album by Trino Mora, and while I was in the shop I had a quick look on Discogs, and Trino only died last year, but he was one of Venezuela's most famous singers. And this album, I can't quite see the year, but I bought this album anyway. This record came from Florida. A lot of this Hispanic stuff seems to come from Florida, although one or two of the others were from a record shop with a New York address. So how these come into being Maidstone, I don't know, but that's the vinyl I bought from the Oxfam shop, and I think I paid £18 in total for that. And most people might think that's a load of rubbish, but there's some good label stuff on there that I haven't got. There's a paper inner that I'm interested in. Now we have another shop that sells records in Maidstone, a charity shop. They've got a second-hand selection, and that is Making a Difference to Maidstone, which is in the High Street. And I spent £12 in there, and there's some old late 1950s, early LPs, 10-inch LPs. And although I'm not going to play this one, I bought it because Winifred Atwell was my granddad's favourite. And so I bought this really as a sort of memory of my granddad, really. So I've already listened to some of the tracks on YouTube, and it has a selection of Winifred Atwell and her pianos. And Choo Choo Samba, a boogie there, a black and white rag, another rag, and a Swanee River boogie, and Jezebel. So that was that. And then I found another LP, a 10-inch LP, 33 1/3, from Paddy Roberts. Now, there were two copies of this 10-inch LP, one of which the front cover was damaged, but then I went further down and found another copy, and it's called Strictly for Grown-Ups. Now, Paddy Roberts, I looked him up. He does songs which are sort of risque in a totally different way to the way that Max Miller was doing risque things in the 1930s and whenever. I think this is a bit later, probably be the 1940s, 1950s. And Love Isn't What It Used to Be, Don't Upset the Little Kiddywinks, and various other songs on here. The Ballad of Bethnal Green, Growing Old, Lavender Cowboy, Poor Little Country Girl. So that one, the vinyl is in good nick, so I will be playing this on my stereo. The next one is a Studio 2 stereo. Again, it's the EMI Columbia. This is a sampler. Now, I saw a copy of this in the Oxfam shop last week over Medway. I didn't pick it up, but this time I thought, right, I'm going to pick this up because this is a sort of thing that may have been played in a record shop to show what the new hi-fi sounded like in the late 50s and the early 60s. And we've got a good selection on here. We've got Norrie Paramore, we've got Woot Steenhouse, Joe Loss and his orchestra, Manuel and the Music of the Mountains, and Semprini, and Eric Delaney and Louis Bellson. And they were really well recorded, these Studio 2 Columbia EMI and the Phase 4 Deckers. They were beautiful recordings. The sound on those, even today, stands up hi-fi wise. And then I found an Irish country music item from Chuck Leyburn, Chuck Lamber's Remember, Singing the Blues, I Remember You, Old Shep and Release Me. And this comes from Northern Ireland. This album originally came from Mint Records of Templepatrick, Ballyclare, County Antrim, BT, that's a Belfast area postcode. So that is Northern Ireland country. I like a bit of Northern Ireland country. If you want to hear some Northern Ireland country, there's a lady singer I like who I'd recommend, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Kerry Ferren, that's it. And she does a lovely version of Ashley Monroe, Chris Stapleton's If the Devil Don't Want Me on her one album that's been released so far. So I recommend, if you want to hear a bit of country, listen to the Ashley Monroe and Kerry Ferren versions of If the Devil Don't Want Me, which was a song that Ashley Monroe co-wrote with Chris Stapleton. And then last week in Oxfam over Medway, I picked up the first album by John Bream and John Williams on the RCA Red Seal label. And so this week I saw this in MADM and they charged me £1 for this, and they're playing a classical program by the look of that. Iberia, that's obviously Spanish. I absolutely love John Williams' guitar playing. I picked up a copy of his Rodrigo's Concerto de Aranjuez last week, and I really enjoy that. That's a lovely copy of it, but unfortunately it gets stuck in one place. But fortunately it's not in the most famous movement of Rodrigo's Concerto that is the movement which people will know. We're getting towards the end of this list now, but I like collecting dance bands, and I like collecting complete recordings of a band, or complete yearly recordings. If it's got volume, if I see something volume 1 2 on it, I tend not to buy it. I tend to wait until I can find a volume 1. I don't tend to buy anything online, so I'm looking for volume 1s of anything. This doesn't say volume 1 or 2, but it's Jack Payne and his BBC Radio Dance Orchestra 1928 to 1931. And we've got some, I've got The Feeling I'm Falling, we've got a Walter Donaldson tune on there, If I Could Be With You for 1 Hour, Sweet Sue. And then on side 2 we've got My Baby Just Cares For Me, which as you know was later done by Nina Simone, made famous by her. You're Driving Me Crazy, which was a hit in the 60s for the Temperance 7. And Exactly Like You, the Jimmy McHugh, Dorothy Fields song. There's one by the great British composer Ray Noble there, Look in Her Eyes. And I Like a Little Girl Like That, written by Yellen and Ager. And the musicians on there, because it's musicians I'm looking for as well, people I've heard of. Dave Roberts on clarinet, Bob Manning on drums, various musicians you hear of, and a lot of them are long gone, wouldn't have had an entry in any of the British jazz sidemen books, although at their time they would have been the sort of musicians that played this sort of music, which in the early days was usually for people with a bit of money in London hotels. Popular music wasn't really for the masses back in those days. I've got 2 more items. The cover of this one is slightly damaged, but it's Bob Crosby and his Bobcats, Come On Here, and that's got volume 1 on it. That was previously on sale in Oxfam somewhere for $2.99, but they charged me £1 for that. And although the sleeve is sort of coming apart, you've got Bob Crosby, who's Bing Crosby's brother, of course. You've got some big band stuff, and then you've got the sort of smaller groups that he had. And you've got songs on there like the famous South Rampart Street Parade, the Royal Garden Blues, Squeeze Me, and the Dogtown Blues, written by Bob Haggart. And as you can see, the lineup included Yank Lawson, Artie Foster, Matty Matlock, Noni Bernandi, Eddie Miller, famous clarinet player, Dean Kincaid, Nappy Lemaire on guitar, Bob Haggart on bass, and Ray Baduke on drums, which would mean a lot to fans of American jazz in the 1930s. And then finally, I mentioned Family Bible, which is a song I know that Willie Nelson recorded, and I got this beautiful box set on the Reader's Digest records, which is unplayed. And when I first looked at it, I thought, ooh, there's no real information on this as to who is singing what, and I didn't know who it was, but the tracks do give you a guide as to who's singing, and it does tell you. I can't find it quite here. Dolly Parton's on here, Willie Nelson, the usual sort of suspects of country music, and all singing secular songs. I like a bit of gospel, I like a bit of country gospel, I like a bit of bluegrass gospel, and so although I can't tell you who's singing what on this, I think it's probably on the record as to who the singer of each song is. No, it's on here somewhere, but I can't tell you at the moment. So that's my vinyl haul for this week, and roughly £30, and I've got to sort of ease off a bit now, so I've got quite a lot to listen to. So as I say, I've bought some stuff on labels that I like. I've got some bands that I like. I've got a Hispanic one, which I'm beginning to like, music sung in Spanish, and I've got a few classical type items as well. So all in all, a record trawl, which so some people, they'll think, why are you bothering showing this? But to me, I'm going to get a lot of enjoyment out of these. So it's Chris Town saying bye for now.